Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to be showing you a very easy strawberry rose vanilla cake recipe that you can try at home. And within this video I'm going to also show you how to make your very own homemade rose simple syrup. So take some time out to subscribe and like this video to support this channel, and let's get this video started. So for our cake, what we're going to use is the ingredients that are present here below. First, we're going to start off with about 3 eggs. We also have some strawberries, white sugar, almond extract, vanilla extract, and some powdered sugar. We're also going to use some sticks of butter, about 4. We're also going to have some dried rose petals. And to make things a lot easier, we're going to use this Crocker super moist French vanilla cake mix to kind of speed up the process. And we're also going to use some honey to go into our homemade buttercream that we'll be making on top. So this is everything you need, and let's start off with making our simple syrup. So to make a simple syrup, it's a pretty simple recipe. It's just a 1-to-1 ratio of water and sugar. But in our case, since we're having a rose flavored simple syrup, we're going to add some rose petals to our water to kind of create essentially just our own kind of rose tea as our base. So here I am adding to a pot of about a cup of water. I have about 4 teaspoons of rose petals that I'm just going to let sit in here and kind of simmer and brew to create our own little base. You can add kind of as much as you want. It just depends on your preference of how much of the floral essence of the rose and the flavor that you want. But in this case, I'm not going to do too much, just about 4 teaspoons of it. Now with rose petals, you kind of don't want to let it kind of burn in the boiling water. Like the temperature for it does not have to be really too high. So I'm just letting it kind of do its thing and soak. And as it's going, you can kind of smell the rose that's coming from it. So it's just a nice rose infused water that I'm kind of doing. Making it almost a rose tea. So now for our simple syrup, what we're going to do is add some white sugar. So for simple syrup, it's like a 1-to-1 ratio. And so we're just going to get, for our 1 cup of water, we're going to do 1 cup of white sugar. So we're just going to take our cup and get 1 cup of white sugar. Now we're just going to add our cup of sugar to the mix. So off camera, I strained the rose petals out of the tea that I made, and now I'm just adding that cup of sugar to the water to create this simple syrup. So I'm adding it while the water's kind of to a boil, and I'm just going to kind of mix it and stir it around. Now that our simple syrup mixture is done, what we're going to do is just take it off the heat, and we're going to pour it into another glass. I got a little glass measuring cup on the side. I'm going to put it in right here, and while it cools down, we're going to start working on our next steps with the cake. So while we let our simple syrup kind of cool down in its own glass, here we have it right here. And we're just going to kind of set it to the side and let it cool on its own. Our next step, what we're going to do is work on our cake. So here we have the cake mix that we're going to use to kind of make this a lot simpler. So to make things a lot easier, we are going to use this super moist French vanilla cake mix, and it has some pudding in the mix, so it's going to kind of keep it a lot more moist. But also we're going to use our simple syrup to help with that as well. And what we're going to do is just follow the instructions on the back. So we're going to add our cup of water, and it says 1/3 cup of vegetable oil, but instead I'm going to use some brown butter that I'm going to make in a second, and 3 eggs. So now to make it, what we are using are some kind of 6-inch pans. So we're gonna have a small cake. So now what we're gonna do to get started, we're just gonna empty out the contents of our cake mix, and we're gonna start adding the rest of our ingredients. Now we're going to add in our 3 eggs to the mixture. So what I'm also going to do is add about 2 teaspoons of almond extract to it to kind of give it that flavor, added flavor. So this recipe calls for a 1/3 cup of vegetable oil, but in this case I'm going to add some brown butter to enhance the flavor, and the equivalent of about 1/3 of vegetable oil is close to about 5 1/3 tablespoon of this stick of butter. So I'm just going to add this butter to my pan and brown it a bit, and we're going to add it to the cake mixture. I'm also just going to go ahead and add that 1/2 cup of water as well. Now that I browned my butter off camera, I'm just going to add that to the mixture as well. Now that everything is all combined in a bowl, I'm going to get my whisk and start whisking it up, and then start preparing my pans. So after some time of mixing all the ingredients together, we now have a nice smooth batter consistency. And so our next step now is to just go ahead and add it to our parchment lined pans. Okay, so now our oven should be set at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, waiting for everything to kind of heat up and get ready. And right now what I have for an extra layer of protection for my 6-inch round pans, I've added a layer of non-stick cooking spray at the bottom, and also some parchment paper so that when the cakes are baking, they'll be easy to just come up out the pan. And as you can see here, what I'm going to do is just divide my cake mix as evenly as possible amongst both of the pans. Now that our pans are filled, what I'm going to do is take them and put them right into our oven and go on to the next step. Now while we wait for the cake to bake in the oven, next step is to work on our buttercream. So for this buttercream, I'm going to be doing a honey and vanilla buttercream, and all you need is about 4 sticks of butter, unsalted butter, some honey that you're going to use in it, some vanilla extract, a lot of powdered sugar. We're going to use about 6 cups of powdered sugar for it. And for an added bonus, I also have this pink icing color gel that I'm going to use to give it like a nice light pink color. This is optional, but if you want your cake to kind of have that pink color, you can use this. So So now I'm just going to begin the process of making the buttercream by adding my sticks of butter. And what you want is to have the butter at a good, room temperature and soften, so it's easy to kind of whip it with the hand mixer or a stand mixer that you have. All right, now all our butter is added to the pan and we can start mixing it. So now that we've whipped a good bit of our butter to as best as we kind of can get for right now, what you kind of want is it to get more to whip more to like the white kind of color. But we're also going to add a little bit of some vanilla extract to it. And we're going to do about 2 teaspoons of it. So. Alright. And we're also going to add about a pinch of some salt to it. After combining all that, we're going to now start to add some of our powdered sugar. So with our powdered sugar, we're going to add about, I'm going to say 6 cups to it. I definitely, made a mess, but you want to add a cup. And as you go, you want to kind of just blend your mixture. So we're going to add a cup and we're going to add all the rest of it as we go. And I'll show you the finished product when it's all blended. Now while I also start to blend everything together, I'm going to add just a little bit of honey to my liking to the buttercream to kind of give it that nice honey flavor. Also, if you want to kind of loosen up everything, if it's too thick, you can add a little heavy cream as you go. So now for my last little batch of powdered sugar that I have, what I'm going to do is mix it all together, and then I'm going to add a few drops of the food coloring. So I have it blended up a bit. I'm just going to add just a few drops and see how it goes as I go. So I had to get a spoon because for some reason the gel was being really difficult to come out, but all I did was add just 1 drop within the bowl. And now what I'm going to do is just start to blend it all together, as you can see, until I get this nice light pink color that I wanted. Also be sure to scrape the sides down as you go as well, so you can get all of that buttercream mixed in. Our bowl is a little messy, but here is our finished product with this nice pink buttercream icing. And so now we can move on to our simple syrup and using our cakes that just got out of the oven. Okay, so now our cakes are out of the oven, and I'm going to kind of peel back this parchment paper. I know it kind of warped it, but it's fine. And then we're going to show you what to do with that simple syrup mixture. So what I did was cut the tops of my cakes off to get an even layer, and I got that simple syrup mixture that was cooled in the fridge and transferred it into this squeeze bottle that I'm just going to kind of drench and layer over the tops of the cakes so that it can get that nice rosy, floral essence and flavor. Just gonna squeeze it like on top of it and kind of let the cakes, soak it in. And I'm going to do it for both sides. So I really wanted to kind of get like that whole rosy like essence within it. And I only used about half a bottle for it. So all right, now that the cake is finished soaking, it's time for the next step, which is I'm going to start icing my layers. And I have some strawberries that I washed and cut that I'm going to add on each layer. So watch me do my magic. While everything's soaked, I added my buttercream to the piping bag, and this is what I'm going to use just to kind of put around the layers. Alright, now that I got it on here, what I'm going to do is just kind of smooth it out on the top, and then I can add the strawberries to it. Now that I got a layer of buttercream, I'm going to start adding a good bit of my strawberry slice. And really just add like a bunch. Now after I just added my layer of strawberries, what I'm going to do is just add a little bit more buttercream to kind of help not let the next layer just slip and slide everywhere. So I now have my next layer of cake at the top here, and what I'm going to do is kind of clean up a little bit of it. So kind of the way I made it, it kind of was a little warped on the side, but I still have some strawberries left. So what I might do is just add some to the top, but I'm just going to try to ice this top layer and then try to get the sides. So okay, our cake is now fully iced, and as you can see, it's kind of messy everywhere, but it's okay. And what I'm going to do is just add some more strawberries to the top with some decorations and just kind of clean it up for that final product. So now that that's all completed, what I'm going to do is add some rose petals as an added touch to the top, and also put some strawberries within that little middle section. That's a nice way to kind of decorate it. And as a finishing touch, I'm going to add some more rose petals. After adding the strawberries and rose petals to the top, this is our finished product right before I kind of go in later and clean up the sides and the base of it. But here we have it, our very own strawberry rose vanilla cake with a nice honey vanilla buttercream icing. Thank you guys for watching and come back again soon.